Coming up next is the Dr. Kim Taylor Show. Here's your chance to talk about what matters to you. Although you'll receive helpful advice from Dr. Kim, remember this is not to be construed as any form of psychotherapy, diagnosis or treatment, and cannot replace a therapeutic relationship with a mental health professional. You can reach Dr. Kim by calling 564-1290 or 866-564-1290. You can also listen live on the internet at drkimtaylorshow.com. Now, here's Dr. Kim.
How often do you use the words, I should? I should do that. I should lose weight. I should exercise more. I should always make others happy. I should put others' needs before my own. I should just go along. I should always look good. I should never say anything that would make others uncomfortable. Or I should just get over it and be happy. I think it's early on that we learn that to get others to like us, we need to follow their rules and do what is expected. And it's not till much later on that we find out that the price of pleasing others comes at the expense of knowing ourselves and what we want and need in life, that's separate from what others want for us. And every time that we play that I should game, it's really in essence saying, what you think and feel about me, well, it's just more important than what I think and feel about myself. It kind of takes the wind out of your sails and it changes the direction of your life. So eventually you stop risking and challenging yourself to grow up and to evolve. And think about this, how draining is it to live your life according to what they want or who they think you should be? And by the way, just a side note here, did you ever really stop to think about who they are and why you have given them so much power in your life? Why are you letting them really dictate what's best for you? What makes you think that they know what's right for you to the exclusion of your own thoughts and beliefs? Or maybe you're just trying to please them to shut them up so they'll go away and then you can do what you want, right? Well, really, how much time do you have to give to that plan? And is it working yet? Do you know that whenever we start a sentence by saying, I should, it automatically implies that it's not something that we really want to do. And yet we're bound to this list of things that we feel that we should do in order to please others. To me, it can become mind-numbing, and truth be told, it's just exhausting. So if all this wasn't bad enough, if I haven't gotten your attention yet, what I want you to know is that this list of shoulds, well, it can become an endless list that you carry throughout your life. So if you don't start paying attention now and actively choosing for yourself, you're just going to be following somebody else's should list. So I have a plan for you. What I want you to do is that the next time that you catch yourself using the words I should, I want you to replace them with I choose. The I shoulds is really the voice of a victim who's being forced to do something that they really don't want to do. But on the other hand, an I choose statement, well, it's one of ownership. And it really comes from a place of empowerment, that you can empower yourself to choose and create your own life. Imagine that. So I want you to be committed to putting it through your own filter and to decide if it's something you choose to do or not. I want you to make it a more conscious thought process, and this is going to help you to see that it's really up to you to choose wisely. Now, what you may be thinking is that this sounds just all too simple, and that's not going to have any real impact. But believe me, those two words, I choose, can be very powerful game changers to how you feel. And just changing I should to I choose can have a profound impact on the rest of your life. Now, as you've heard me say before, you can't change others. The only behavior you can control is your own. So you can't stop others from having an opinion and wanting to share it with you. You can't stop others from wanting you to meet their needs. You can't even stop others from really thinking that they know what's right for you. But what you can do is choose your response to this whole barrage of good intentions coming at you from all directions. What I want you to think about is let their input just be the data that you place into your filter for consideration. And then ask yourself some of these questions and do it before you act. Things like, is this right for me? Do I like it? Is it what I want? Does it follow my intentions? Does it get me closer to my dreams? I want you to keep digging deeper and deeper for the answers to what is right for you. And I promise you that the answers are within. Stay with it. Be patient. They will show up. I want you to really pay attention to what feels good to you and really be willing to allow yourself to step through this process so that you can develop just a better sense of who you are so that you know yourself better. As the Buddhists say, scratch the good dog, not the bad dog. Do things only after putting it through your filter and out of a sense of pleasure and choice. If you are living a life that's filled with shoulds, it can create a great deal of frustration, of anxiety, and yes, resentment. What you really have to know by now is that you will never get a sense of fulfillment as long as you are trying to follow this should list, because there will always be another should that needs to be attended to. And you won't feel capable of ignoring it until you develop the emotional muscle that you need in order to say no and to stand up for yourself. So what I want for you is for you to be able to take a risk and to choose for yourself. I want you to start to become more aware of what's on your list of shoulds and really be willing to challenge each and every one of them. So first up, instead of saying I should, you're going to start saying I choose. And again, just this simple shift in thinking is going to transform your focus from being a victim of shoulds to being empowered to choose for yourself, and therefore to make changes that you need in your own life. So be willing to get a little braver and decide to be you in this world, and not just a version of you that you think that everybody else needs you to be.
You are listening to Dr. Kim Taylor on KZSB AM 1290.
We are on the phone now with Jill. Welcome to the program, Jill.
Hi.
What's on your mind?
Oh, I've just been so angry at my mom for probably the past 20 years and really can't figure out why.
Was there something that happened 20 years ago?
No, not really. My mind just, I don't know if it was pressure from her or just feeling that she demands a lot from me. I'm really not sure.
Well, but those could be two things, feeling that she's very demanding, perhaps critical. Is there more?
Not that I can actually sit and pinpoint, and believe me, I have thought about this every day and just really can't pinpoint. She just bugs me.
Okay, so she bugs you, but you don't really know why, but there's something about being in her presence or the fact that you feel that she's very demanding that makes you really uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And you're probably not going to be really happy with her or like her until she stops.
Right.
Okay. So, in essence, what you're really doing is, because you don't tell your mom that she's demanding, or you don't stand up perhaps and say, Mom, that's not going to work for me, you're really sabotaging your relationship with your mother, and it's been ongoing for, it sounds like, a number of years.
Right.
So would you agree that at this point, that no matter what she says or does, it's not right for you? You're still annoyed with her?
Yes.
Okay. And then you start to get angry, and then you want to push away, and then you feel like you can't. And then you start to feel bad about yourself the way that you treat her. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think some of that, too, is because she's older.
Well, but you said this is going on for 20 years, so now it's just getting harder. Yeah. It's not getting easier. Okay.
Right. It's getting much harder.
What do you think keeps you from being able to say no to your mother with some dignity and grace?
I don't know.
I would agree with you that, yes, you're angry at your mom, but not for the reasons that you think you're angry with her.
Okay.
You're angry because she doesn't read your mind. She doesn't release you from what you feel are a lot of expectations. But it sounds like that who you're really angry with is yourself. Because you don't have the courage to stand up and say no. You're too afraid of the need to please her.
True.
True?
True.
Okay. What are you so afraid of with your mother? What do you think she would say?
Disappointing her.
Disappointing her. Okay. So back 20 years ago, kind of made a bargain. And it sounded something like this. I will do whatever my mom wants me to do, because it's more important in my life to not disappoint my mother than it is for me to be a separate individual standing on my own. So from this moment forward, I will do whatever it is that she wants, and I will choose to disappear.
Mm-hmm. And I do feel like I've disappeared.
Yeah. Do you think this happens in other relationships too?
Probably.
Okay. But it certainly started with your mom, and at some point when you were very young, and maybe it was too intimidating to say no to her. Was she really critical and judgmental and insisting?
I don't really remember as a small child, but I guess in my more adult life, I have felt that way, telling me when to send a thank you note, when to call somebody, when to do this.
Okay, so she wanted you to be a good girl.
Yes.
Okay, and to do all of the things that probably she learned to do, but nonetheless, it comes across now that you have to do it her way, and that your way has never been good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And you're punishing her for that.
Yes.
But ultimately, you're also punishing yourself, because you end up feeling all of this guilt and feeling really bad about yourself, and then wondering where you are and who you are. So we have to fix this up. And the good news is that we can do it without her changing.
Okay.
Okay? But what you need to be able to do first is to say to yourself that I no longer need the approval of anyone else for me to be myself. You willing to do that?
Yes.
Okay. So what kind of a daughter would you like to be in her presence?
Kind,
Mm-hmm.
compassionate, patient.
Okay. You can be all of those things and say no.
Okay.
And if you said no to your mother in a kind, compassionate, patient way, how would you feel about yourself at the end of the day?
Good.
Yeah, you would feel good about yourself, right?
Right.
So there we have a win. That you would feel good about yourself. Even if your mom was still disappointed, at least you'd feel good about yourself. Because right now you have it set up where you disappoint your mom or it's never enough for her so that you feel bad. And then you feel bad about yourself because you kind of wimped out. So you have a lose-lose
Right.
there. All right. So at least here we have a win-win. Your job and what you need to be accountable to is taking care of your part of this relationship and being a little more honest with a little more courage.
Okay.
In order to claim ourselves in this world, we have to be willing to disappoint others. That's like the ticket into the ride. If you're not willing to disappoint others, then you're right. You only get to be a version of yourself that everybody else needs you to be. And it's exhausting.
Very.
Yeah. So practicing being able to say no, or sorry, Mom, that doesn't work for me, or Mom, I'm sorry that I disappointed you, or that it's disappointing to you, but I'm not going to be able to do that. Or thanks for the input, Mom, I'll take it under consideration.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, things like that when you can filter it through your filter about what's right for you. You first take care of yourself, and then whatever you have to give is truly a gift. But if you're giving things that you don't want to give, it's no longer a gift. It has strings attached, and it turns into anger and resentment, and you lose any love you have for that person under that pile of resentment.
Mm-hmm.
So you really need to clean this up, and you can do it by just looking at your part.
Okay.
So you have to build up your courage to decide to be you and stop blaming others that you haven't done it.
I think I can do that.
I think you can too, and I think it's time, and I think you're ready.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So what I want you to do is I want you to try that out. And then I want you to give me a call back and let me know how it's going. And if we have to do some kind of a tune-up here, we'll do some tune-up work. But I think you have it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Take care.
You are listening to Dr. Kim Taylor on KZSB AM 1290.
So what are the rules that underline the things that you do? With Jill, she was really struggling because she felt like her mother really was ruling her life. So I'd like to ask you, what is on your should list? Is it really weighing you down and that you feel like it's all just a burden? And could it be that you're unconsciously draining your own wealth of energy by always doing what you should do instead of what you choose to do? I really want you to be willing to make that shift today from saying I should to really saying I choose. Just this simple shift is going to help you go from feeling like a victim in your life to feeling empowered to create the life that you want. So I would like to remind you that this show is rebroadcast Thursday evenings at 10 p.m. and Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. right here at KZSB AM 1290. And you can also download them as podcasts by going to my website or by going to iTunes. But also, if you have a question today and would like to call in, just give me a call at 564-1290, or even shoot me an email at drkim@drkimtaylorshow.com. And I have an email right here that I'd like to read. It says, Dear Dr. Kim, 4 years ago, my husband of 10 years divorced me because he was convinced I was having an affair with a professional colleague with whom I worked, and I was absolutely not emotionally or sexually involved with this person. The marriage and the divorce were awful. He was controlling, paranoid, and hateful. I am now remarried to a caring, healthy man who loves my daughters, who are 12 and 14. My ex-husband continues to badmouth me to my kids and my husband, and has numerous times made false
accusations that I am an abusive mother and has unsuccessfully attempted to get full custody of our daughters. Although my husband assures me that he is going to stick by me, I am afraid that he is going to leave because he will never have any peace from my ex-husband. The stress is unbearable at times. How can I live a happy life with my new husband despite the fact that my ex is out to destroy me? This is from Danny. First off, Danny, you don't mention if you have tried to get your ex into any kind of therapeutic work just to try to get him to see the bigger picture, and that all of this damage that he is doing, he's really doing to the children at this point, because the amount of tension that goes on, I'm sure, is really, at this point in time, affecting them. And sometimes when a parent can finally see that they are causing their children pain by what they're doing, they might be able to move into just a more mindful way of thinking about this and to stop expressing their anger in ways that hurt their kids. But I will say, from what you said, it doesn't sound very promising that he will do this. So what I would say to you is that you and your current husband and your kids really need to sit down and talk about the fact that your ex, their dad, is probably somewhat ill. And until he gets help, he's not going to change. But you can still continue to be a supportive and loving family together. And for the kids, sometimes just understanding that someone is ill helps to find some compassion, and you can let go of some of the guilty feelings. But for sure, you are going to need to set very clear boundaries with your ex and to not interact with him except maybe through emails. And I would also let your daughters know that you do not need them or want them to tell you what their dad is saying to them. So don't let them get in the middle of what's going on between the two of you by having them deliver any kind of message. And I think the last thing I would say to you is that really set up some boundaries around any conversation that you have with your ex so that you only give it a very short period of time and then move on. Let it be your ex's problem and not one that you and your current husband and family are consumed by. So once more, if you would like to send in an email, just go to Dr. Kim at drkimtaylorshow.com. So let's go to our next call.
Hi, Kate. How can I help you?
Hi, Dr. Taylor. I'm my grandmother's caregiver, and I'm starting to see some problems coming up, and I'm not sure how to handle them.
Okay, what kinds of problems are you seeing?
Well, I have an uncle who's a drug user who's calling and harassing her and trying to get money out of her all the time. And I'm trying to cut off that communication, but she doesn't want me to cut off the communication.
All right, so is this her son?
Yes.
And is this new behavior on his part, or is this something old?
This is something old that I thought had gone away, but it's come back. And this is the first time it's happened while I'm the one responsible for her care and her finances.
So you are taking care of not just her, but all of her money issues, you're saying?
Yes.
And how long have you been doing that?
I've been doing this for about a year.
How does your grandmother feel about you taking care of her and her finances?
She feels good about it, but she feels a loss of control, which is a real hard step for her.
Mm-hmm. And how old is she?
She's 87.
So it sounds like she's wanting to help her son. Is that correct?
Yes.
And do you have conversations with her, or are you just feeling like you have to say no for your grandmother?
We do have conversations about it. I talk to her about how this is not healthy and we need to stop. We talk about giving him money, and I just say no on that. I don't give her a choice.
Is she still in her sound mind?
Yes.
So she's not suffering from any thinking disorders or cognitive disabilities, correct?
Correct.
And so, in fact, it is her money.
Yes, but she is on a fixed income.
Mm-hmm.
She had financial difficulties at the beginning of the year, and I had to pay her bills. So her paying money out does affect me, too. If she loses all her money, I'll be supporting her.
What have you done so far to help her understand that?
He calls me also trying to get money because I cut off communication with his mom for a while, and he's left some very threatening phone calls. So I go over there and I talk to my grandmother, and then I make her listen to the phone call messages because she seems to forget the bad and only remembers the good.
Okay, now wait. Let's back up for a moment. So I was asking whether your grandmother was in her right mind. Let me go back and ask you, is your uncle in his right mind, or is he under the influence of something?
He is a heroin user.
Oh, okay. That changes things a bit. So he is wanting to get money to get his next fix, I suppose, and that the threats are coming because he is going through withdrawals if he doesn't get it and probably acting it out.
Correct. But he will call and try to manipulate and, poor me and I'm starving and, everything else.
Mm-hmm. Has he tried to recover or tried to get sober?
No. He's almost 60, and this has been going on for at least the past 40 years. And he's only been cut off money-wise the past year.
It's because after you took over her care and her books, you realized that she couldn't do that.
Correct.
So your grandmother feels pretty guilty about her son at 60 years old continuing to be a drug addict. And is she trying to help him in order to get into rehab, or is she just trying to help him by pacifying it a bit and throwing money at him?
Pacifying, because if he were to, if he's on the street and homeless and something happens to him, she says that it would be her fault.
Mm-hmm.
So she continues to pay him so that he's not homeless, but she's just supporting his habit.
Mm-hmm.
But she can't see the difference.
Okay. And she does know that he's on heroin here?
She denies it, but for 20 of those 40 years, she paid for his methadone, which is just a heroin substitute.
Okay, so your grandmother has just really been trying to enable him in a lot of ways out of her own guilt.
Yes.
And what you're saying is that if she does go on with this, that your fear is that you are going to be the one suffering the most because you are going to be the one financially, as well as physically, take care of your grandmother when she no longer has money to be taken care of.
Yes, that's a definite possibility. Also, she likes where she's at, and I'd like to keep her there, and I cannot afford to keep her there if I was paying the bill.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that you really have to make this very clear to her about what you are willing to do and what you are able to do, and that it is still her money, but she needs to know probably the whole story, that if she does continue to do this, that she will be left to live on the street because she will have no money for her care, and it will really decrease the opportunities that she has for herself. Now, she may or may not care about this. I mean, you said she's 86 years old?
87.
87 years old. Her son is 60. This is one of those sad cases where, yes, the son needs help. It doesn't sound like he has ever received the real help that he needs, which is the tough love to, cut off all funds to him unless he's willing to go into some kind of a treatment center and then to support him in that process. But the fact that your grandmother has been doing this for so many years and would feel very bad about herself, I think it's a really difficult thing for her at this stage to stop this. What is happening between you and her because of this?
I have told her that I cannot send him money, and I'm her only means of doing that, and that if she wants to send him money, that I would have to get somebody else to handle her financial affairs because I cannot be a part of it.
Okay. Kate, I think that's actually a really good stance to take, that if it means getting another financial person in to really be the one that is in charge of the checkbook, and if she's willing to give somebody else that kind of access, it means that they will then be making choices. Because your grandmother's in sound mind, it's not like you can, take over or go to the courts and say that she's not managing well or she's not taking care of herself well. But I do think that perhaps the next step right now is for you to sit down with her and be really clear about what you have just said, how you can't be party to this, that you want to help to support her, do this kind of tough love because it's the only thing that's actually going to help this 60-year-old to eventually see that he cannot just use others and continue in his habit and to drain his mother of her funds to live in a comfortable way for the rest of her life. And if she's not willing to do that, then I think that, yes, what you do need to do to maintain your relationship with your grandmother is to say that you need to turn it over to a financial person to be making those kinds of decisions.
Okay. Well, that helps me because I've been wanting to say that. I didn't know if I was just being, that was cold-hearted on my part. So I'll sit down and have that conversation with her.
Yes, it doesn't sound in any way that you're being cold-hearted. It doesn't make sense to continue to enable someone to continue to use in their lives. And then you're looking at your grandmother and seeing, boy, if she does this, then the weight of all of this is going to be on your shoulders to take care of her. And that's not fair to you. So yes, be the one willing to stand up, turn on the light, show the whole picture to her, and be really clear about what you are willing to do and what you will not do in this particular circumstance.
Thank you very much, Dr. Taylor.
Okay.
I appreciate the advice.
All right. Take care.
You are listening to Dr. Kim Taylor on KZSB AM 1290.
Hi, this is Dr. Taylor, and we're on the phone with Cindy. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Dr. Taylor. I appreciate you taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really upset. I work for this man for this company for 10 years, and he's been coming into my office and just yelling and berating me and walking out. And he's been doing it to the other employees too, but I'm at my wit's end with it, and I don't know how to handle it. I don't know. I just want to go in and yell at him or quit, and I need some advice.
Okay. You've been there for 10 years. Has this been ongoing for 10 years, or is this something new?
No, it's something, he's done it occasionally in the past, but always calmed down and was, apologized. But now it's just constant for about the past 6 months.
So would it be true that there has been a change perhaps in his personality or in his behavior, that it is drastically different than it has been in the last 10 years?
Yes, it definitely has been a change.
Okay, so that might be part of your in, is that when you notice that someone is out of integrity with how they were in the past and they have shown and are showing a real change in their behavior, sometimes it's helpful to be the one that goes in and lets this person know.
How do I do it without being just blowing up at him? And
okay,
what do I say? Because I'm very mad.
Right. Well, and it sounds like for the last 6 months you've kind of held your tongue, right?
Yes.
So this has been building, and you fear that when you go in there, you're going to blast him out of the water with how angry you are.
Yes.
Number one is you cannot control someone else. And this sounds like a boss who is having some kind of problem in his personal life, and or because there's something going on in his body that there may be hormonal changes. There could be a personality problem that is coming up, but definitely something is going on with him. So you're not going to be able to change him. But what I want you to do is to focus on just your part. How would you like to see yourself handle someone who obviously is out of control? What could you do that would make you feel good about yourself?
I would like to let him know that it's not acceptable.
Okay. So you do want to set some firm boundaries about what's okay and what's not okay. So doing that, you would want to come across as someone who is firm and assertive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What else could you do that would help to increase the probability that you would come out of that feeling good about yourself, whether or not he heard you or listened? but just so that if you have to walk away from this, that you will feel good about your part.
Well, I think the first thing I would do was tell him that I have liked my job and liked working for the company, but that during the past 6 months, he has been abusive, and that I want to stay and want to continue working with him because of my respect, but I cannot work under these conditions.
Okay, so that's very professional. One thing we do want to set up is, kind of a win-win, that if you go in and you like the way that you handle this and he agrees and he says, yes, I'm sorry, and I will work on that, and thank you for bringing this to me, then it's kind of a win-win. However, if you go in and you like the way that you handle it and he still is the way he has been these last 6 months, it's still a win-lose, but you win, even though he doesn't agree to change or doesn't agree to admit that there's something going on with him that he might have to address. What you don't want to do is go in and have kind of a lose-lose where you feel bad about the way that you handled it and he explodes and says, okay, you're fired. And so it's kind of a lose-lose.
Right.
So the most you can do is just look at your part, be responsible for your part, and like what you do.
Okay. Then I think I'll do that first thing tomorrow morning. Is I'll go in and sit down and say how I appreciate things, tell him that what I'm having difficulty accepting,
Mm-hmm.
and ask him how we can work to change it.
Mm-hmm. Say that you really would like to be able to stay working here, but that you cannot continue to work here under the same conditions, that there has to be some change for you.
I think I can do that. That sounds better than just giving up or blowing up.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that.
Okay. Well, this really is the first step where you can go in and don't attack. Just say, I really want to talk to you. I'm really concerned. I really like to work here, but there are just some things that are coming up, and I really want to open this up so that we can talk about them. If there's something that I can do to help it, I certainly am open to doing that. But I also need you to be aware about why I am so unhappy in these last 6 months.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Good luck with that. Thanks, Cindy. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290. We're on the phone now with Donna. Welcome to the program.
Hello, Dr. Kim. I'm calling this afternoon about my next-door neighbor who has a seriously barking dog. And I'm not upset with the dog because, well, I'm not. I'm just upset with the neighbors because I go over often to complain about the barking. And it stops for a day or two or 3 or 4, and then bit by bit, the dog starts to bark again, and pretty soon he's barking a lot. And I can't seem to make an impression on these people. And I'd like to know what I can do further than that. I have called the animal control to find out what the procedure is, but the procedure is a little bit involved for me. If I contact them with the complaint, they will come out 3 times and leave a note on the front door. After that, if the dog is still barking, then it's up to me to organize the neighborhood to go to court. Mm-hmm. And I'm not willing to take that step at all.
You have said that you've gone to the neighbors a number of times, correct?
Oh, yes, many, many times.
Okay, so they are no longer listening to you. So it is time to call animal control and to go ahead and make the complaint and to have them come out 3 times. Because if the neighbors are not listening to you, they may very well listen to the authority figures.
It also takes me out of the picture, too, doesn't it, which I would like.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because you said that you're not upset with the dog, but you know what? The dog is upset with its owners. It's not liking what is being done to it, and that's why the dog barks, so that the dog is in distress and the dog cannot talk to the neighbors. The dog cannot make this right. So it's really left up to you that if you feel like this dog is not getting the right treatment, then it is up to you to stand up and do what you can do. And that means that you state what you want or what you need. If that doesn't work, you be willing to set firmer boundaries. And then the trick here is you have to stand behind your boundaries too. You can't just threaten. You have to stand behind it.
Meaning that I might eventually have to organize the neighborhood and go to court?
Well, this dog may very well need you to do that.
Oh, jeez. This dog is scared, or bored, or lonely. I don't believe these people are home very much. I don't think I'm willing to go to court over it.
But let's not jump there yet. The next step is to call the Animal Control Service and have them go out and meet with them or do a posting. Once you set a boundary, then the other person then will go, oh, okay, gee, this is getting more serious. Maybe now is the time I'm going to do something about this. Maybe they have to reassess that owning this dog is not in the best interest of them or the dog because it's going to get them into trouble and the dog is obviously not happy. So it gives people a chance to shift and also make changes that they need to make. By you setting your boundaries, you're making that happen. You're setting that in process.
You are listening to Dr. Kim Taylor on KZSB AM 1290.
Thank you for joining me today, and thank you for all of the callers who have called in and asked their questions. So what are you still holding on to? What are you feeling resentful about? And what is weighing you down and making you dread your own life? I really want you to be able to be willing to look at that should list and decide, is it really something that you want to do and therefore choose to do? Or is it something that you just feel that you should do for everybody else? Now, this can even pertain to things like cleaning up dirty dishes in the sink. We can all agree that we probably should do this, but I want you to try to change even that. Change it to an I statement that I choose. I choose to do the dishes because I like having a clean kitchen. It makes me feel good. So just these small shifts are going to help you about how you feel about the task at hand and therefore how you feel about yourself and your own life. Start choosing the life that you want and be the person that you choose to be and not just a version of what you think that everybody else wants or needs from you. You can contact me with any comments or questions. I'd love to hear from you at Dr. Kim at drkimtaylorshow.com. And if you missed any part of this program and would like to listen to the rebroadcast of the show, they're played Thursday evenings at 10 p.m. and Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. right here at KZSB AM 1290. You can now also find the past shows by going to iTunes and downloading the podcast there, and that's for free. Or you can find them on my YouTube channel. Just go to my website for the links at drkimtaylorshow.com. Until then, remember, nobody else has to change in order for you to feel better. So stop waiting for others. Get on with creating the change that you want, the life that you want. And guess what? Other people will just have to follow along. I'm Dr. Kim Taylor, and I will be right back here live at 5 next Thursday afternoon. Have a great week and take care.